Good afternoon or good evening, YouTube. It's your boy Humble Warrior back at you with another video. It's been a lot of uproar, man, today. A lot of debates, a lot of tensions and flares and stuff like that in regards to Alabama becoming the fourth seed to take on Michigan in this year's college football playoff format. Allow me first to say that Florida State, granted, they had an incredible season, 13-0. Can't take it from them. They did what they were supposed to do, which was win all their games. They did win their ACC championship game against Louisville, but it was not in convincing fashion, meaning that they beat Louisville 16-6 with their quarterback throwing 55 yards through 4 quarters. That's not going to do anything in the playoff. You're not going to win a game that way. You're going to get mollywopped by a Michigan squad that has basically averaged almost 35 a game this season. And they were licking their chops to take on Florida State because they saw it as an easy dub to move on to the championship round to face either Washington or Texas and claim their first national championship in quite a while. Now, the argument has been said that, Alabama did lose to Texas. That's a fact. We did. We lost 34-24 week 2 behind Jalen Milroe, who at the time had started his second game, and I was very pissed off with his performance. 2 picks, barely 200 yards. I think he threw 2 touchdowns in that game, but he looked like hot ass garbage. Now, fast forward 11 games later, he has drastically improved his play. And because of that, Alabama was able to defeat the number 1 team in the country 27-24 at the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, Georgia for the SEC Championship. Be that as it may, I was fine with either Alabama or Georgia getting the nod. It didn't really matter to me. But I had said this: if the committee screws this up, then people have to think back to last year with TCU, who got their asses handed to them by a mighty powerful Georgia squad, 65-7. Now imagine what would Florida State be victimized to with Michigan, who was playing to prove that they belong after 2 straight college football semifinal losses. Now, let's just say hypothetically they do let Florida State in there, right? And let's say Florida State get blown out 42-7, or 42-7. What would be the argument then? You wasted a slot that could have went to Alabama or Georgia, and they would have played a much more competitive game than that team did. Not to mention that without Travis Jordan, look how bad their offense looked against North Alabama, against Florida, who, if it wasn't for the Florida State defense and a couple of occasional plays here and there offensively, they don't beat Florida. They were in a dogfight with Florida for a good minute. I watched the game. They pulled away in the second half after they sniped that offense, and then they took it over by doing simple stuff on offense to get drives going and to get a few quick touchdowns in to patent the lead and pull away. But before that, they was getting exposed. Florida was looking like a legit SEC team with legit decent defense against that Florida State offense with that quarterback at the helm. But to their credit, they did beat Florida. Then they went on to the ACC championship game, and I want to say for 2.5, maybe 3 quarters, they struggled with Louisville. It was 16-6 the final score, so that means if they did score a touchdown, they didn't score another one. That means they probably had a touchdown and 3 field goals to basically cement their place as an undefeated team. But at what cost? Because the committee was never going to sit there and say, oh, well, let's get this slot to Florida State because they're undefeated. No, you got to look at the viewership. Who's actually going to who's going to want to tune in to an undefeated Florida State team who by metrics since I think it was 2014 when they won it, and that's with Jameis Winston. Since then, they have not done anything. And then you're gonna expect them to go against a Michigan squad that was already highly motivated to continue to dominate the weaker opponent, which they was gonna dominate Florida State. Ain't no need to debate that. Florida State gonna get mollywopped. And then people like Richard Sherman, EJ Manuel, and others get on ESPN and say, no, actually Richard Sherman's on Undisputed. He's on Undisputed. EJ Manuel's on ESPN First Take. They're gonna get it with a straight face and say Florida State still deserves a chance. Why? Because they're undefeated? Is that why? Because that's the only metric you're gonna use then. I mean, if you go back to, last season, what happened, it didn't look so well for an undefeated team just to scrape into the college football playoff. Because granted, TCU did beat Michigan, but how did they beat them? With turnovers and touchdowns. Touchdowns and turnovers actually beat Michigan, right? Didn't that dude throw 2 pick sixes? And then TCU's offense blow them out? But what happened when they got against a superior opponent? They got their asses handed to them. Now, Alabama is not a dominant powerhouse this year. However, I've watched the entire season. We've came a long way, especially defensively. We have locked in the teams and we have made them become one-dimensional. Look at Georgia. All they did was run the ball against us and couldn't hardly get anything going. They made a few plays here and there against us, but for the most part, we suffocated their offense to the point it was getting frustrating for them. And then Miro, to his credit, used his legs, made some timely throws with his arm, and we was able to beat that team. But to be fair, Alabama had earned their way into that spot. We had to go against a tough-ass LSU squad, a tough-ass, at the time, Tennessee squad that we faced. We lost to Texas, granted, yes. We played a really, really decent Ole Miss squad at the time who only had 1 loss. So we had some quality wins here and there that we was able to get. And then, of course, the Auburn game, which to me was embarrassing, but we ended up anyway getting the touchdown that we needed at the very end of the game to sneak out that win. But this notion that, they didn't deserve to go because they lost is BS. It's total BS because they did bring up an interesting point. We did lose one year and then still got to the playoffs and won it all. We did do that. So it wasn't like we had to be undefeated to get in. It's just what the committee knew people wanted to see. Nobody was going to tune in to Michigan, Florida State. Maybe the fans of those schools were. But national-wise, it was going to take a huge dip. Now, you got to remember, Alabama's the face of college football. I'm not sitting here saying Nick Saban going to be, the end-all, be-all for the years to come. I don't know that. But I do know if you have an opportunity to face the best, that's how it should be. It shouldn't be based on you have an undefeated record. Because now what you're saying is, we're just going to put anybody with an undefeated record out there. No. The tier of talent is too different. Which is why next season, Georgia and Alabama are going to play each other. And that's going to be an interesting game because whoever wins that game has a leg up on the other completely. Now, Alabama going to be a different team next season because, hell, I think Monroe gone. And the quarterback we got is going to be an incoming freshman. So we're going to see what Saban does with that. But all in all, I mean, the game to me was played the way it should have been. I was just shocked at the results by the committee because I thought that despite beating Georgia, I didn't see us really getting in. I saw them maybe picking, they were not going to pick Ohio State because Ohio State looked bad against Texas. But I thought they would give the nod to somebody else or basically try to kick down Alabama to a degree. But they made the right call. They gave Texas 3. They gave Alabama 4. With Texas, I don't completely agree with what they did because, as you saw, Texas lost one of their best wide receivers, which they don't know the extent of his injury. They also don't know how long he's going to be out. And when he does come back from injury, what percentage will he be at? So there's a lot of factors going into this. Like I told the other Texas fan that I work with, without Worthy, y'all don't look the same. Y'all, I mean, yeah, y'all got, I forgot his name, but he's number 5. Y'all got him, but he's not really a deep threat like that. He's not what Worthy is to them. So it's a lot of factors that you have to come to grips with. Plus, you're taking on a Washington team that's loaded on offense. Defensively, they can be had, but offensively, it's hard to beat them. So that's my take on it, guys. I mean, what did you guys think? Let me know your honest opinion. Do you feel like the committee snubbed Florida State based on the 13-0 record? Or who would you have picked in that 4th slot? If you was a committee member, you had a vote, who would you pick? Let me know in the comment section. Peace.